RBT Curriculum Section B has to do with assessing items and defining behaviors. B01 is describe behavior in the environment in observable and measurable terms. Remember, we want to be objective. We want to say what's going on, who's there, when did the behavior occur, and what was the behavior. We want to use measurable terms. We want to quantify it. Did the behavior happen 5 times? Did it happen 10 times? Were there 3 people in the room or 20 people in the room? The RBT should know how to describe behavior and environments in observable and measurable terms. They should also be able to identify when reading a description of an environment or behavior, whether that description is objective and measurable. So make sure to look for things such as numbers to make sure that you can quantify it, and facts. If there's a lot of opinion or a lot of talk about things like emotional states in the phrasing, then it is not objective. Likewise, if someone just says some or a lot of people or some or a lot of the behavior, that is not as quantifiable or measurable as it should be. So as an RBT, practice being objective and practice being able to describe things in a way that if you were to show another person halfway around the world, they would know what you were talking about. B02 refers to conducting preference assessments. As an RBT, can you conduct an assessment, a preference assessment, where you ask the person what they want to work for? Can you show them multiple items and have them pick one? You may also want to be familiar with the different types of preference assessments. B03 assists with individualized assessment procedures. Curriculum-based, developmental social skills, stuff like that. As an RBT, it is not your job to perform assessments. However, you may be asked to assist with assessments. This may include answering questions from an analyst, or performing actions or tasks or instructions that will assess the person's skills and developmental levels. B04 assists with functional assessment procedures. Again, as an RBT, you are not conducting a functional assessment. However, you may be asked to assist with certain procedures within it. This is most likely going to involve you recording ABC data and also narrative recording of what was occurring in a session. And when I say narrative recording, what I mean is an objective observation of what actually occurred within the session. You're recording what happened throughout the session and providing a narrative to the assessor. Section B has to do with assessment and behaviors. This is a very important component of an ABA intervention. as we need to identify what skills to address, what deficits to address, what excesses to address, and what behaviors to manage during the intervention. Because remember, each individual that we work with is different from the last. Each assessment allows us to individually tailor a plan for that individual. I do want to reiterate though, as an RBT, you will not be performing the assessments, but you will be assisting with them occasionally. The RBT will also likely never do an initial assessment. The initial assessment done before intervention starts is almost always done by the behavior analyst. So measurable terms. Measurable terms allow us to make a description of a behavior. Okay? To make a description of a behavior or the environment measurable, we include terms that talk about the frequency or rate of a behavior, how many times a behavior happened, how many times per session a behavior happened, the duration of a behavior, how long it happened, the intensity of a behavior, the magnitude, how strong or how intense was it. Also, we might talk about latency, right? How long it took for that behavior to start from when the instruction was given. This means that a behavior analyst could quantify or put numbers to the behavior in a way that makes sense, and that they could use this measure of increases or decreases to see if what we're doing is actually working. So, it means that we can look at the numbers over time to make sure the behavior is either increasing or decreasing in the way that we want it to. If the analyst believes that something should be measured, they will tell you how they want you to measure it for that particular case.